Hey everybody, I'm Will Martin, and welcome to live stream. It is 9 o'clock Eastern Time, Wednesday, October 11th. And I'm going to start out by showing you something here that I came across a couple of days ago. So bear with me just a second. This is from CNN. Nursing schools are turning away thousands of applicants during a major nursing shortage, and here's why. So the article starts out by talking about some numbers from the American Association of Colleges of Nursing that over 78,000 qualified applications were not offered spots at nursing schools last year. It's a pretty big number. Now, these are baccalaureate programs. These don't include associate degree programs or any remaining diploma programs that might still be out there. The article goes on to say, things that we probably already know. Staffing shortages are the main reason why nursing schools are not accepting as many students as they probably could. And by staffing, we're talking about nursing faculty and also preceptors, people that precept nursing students on the floors. There's just not enough of them. And one thing that I've felt in doing a lot of precepting over many, many years is that it takes a lot of time away from my own work with the patient. I mean, I honestly get distracted sometimes by having a student with me. If you're if you're a preceptor and your only job is to just monitor students, I mean, that's a pretty hard job. But if you're dependent upon productivity and you have students with you, that can really slow things down. But again, in this case, we're talking about nursing students. And the article does go on to talk about staffing crisis and why it's probably leading to strikes like Kaiser Permanente. 75,000 unionized employees were on strike, I believe, out in California recently. And it has to do with working conditions and work-life balance and things like that, things that make sense. Now, the need for nurses is obviously going to grow each year. The statistics show that there's 3.2 million registered nurses on the job as of 2022. And employment is projected to grow by a faster than average 6% over the next 10 years. And that's going to mean, on average, 193,000 job openings annually for registered nurses. So a fair number of jobs available, and yet we're not graduating as many nursing students as we could because we don't have faculty. We don't have faculty because, obviously, we don't pay them. Nursing schools have nearly 2,000 full-time faculty positions to fill, and just under 8% of teaching slots are vacant right now. These are full-time, probably tenured faculty positions. And this doesn't reflect the part-timers and the per diems and the adjuncts like I've done over the years off and on. And there's an awful lot more adjuncts, I think, out there than there are tenured faculty teaching. So we can safely say that there's probably a lot more than 2,000 faculty positions vacant. It probably equates to a lot more than that. And part of the problem with why we're not allowing so many people into nursing schools is we just don't have enough faculty. You don't have enough faculty with master's degrees or doctoral degrees. This particular article goes on to talk about the pandemic, that people that might have wanted to pursue education had to delay it because they were needed on the floors. I don't know. That may be true. I don't know. And it also talks about how most nursing school faculty are getting older, and I think that's probably true also. So one of the biggest obstacles is, as I just said, the salary. And the average salary, or the median salary for a nursing professor is $89,000 a year, whereas advanced practice registered nurse is, easily over $120,000 a year. So you just can't get enough faculty if you're not going to pay them. It's bottom line. And I had a had a discussion with a father of a patient that I had admitted to the hospital today, and just to kind of backtrack a little bit, this poor guy is the father of a very unfortunate young girl who has mental health issues. She was admitted by me yesterday to the hospital. We had no psychiatric beds available at either campus. We had social work trying to find beds at outlying facilities, and there's none available. So this poor girl, who is, I think, 21, 22 years old, she's laying in a bed in the hallway, kind of like near Times Square of our emergency department, very loud area. You're not going to sleep. The lights are on full blast all the time. And her parents stayed there with her all night. And they were there this morning when I came back. We did eventually get a bed for her late this afternoon. But the father, who is also an employee of our hospital, he's like an engineer employee of our hospital, but he was asking, just why aren't we opening more beds? I think our hospital, and I think a lot of hospitals, have beds that are available, but they're empty because, well, the story is there aren't enough nurses to staff those beds. There aren't enough housekeepers and people like that to staff the beds. So, he was wondering just what's the deal. And I said, well, I think obviously part of it is if you pay people enough, you'll probably get them to work. Even if they really don't want to work in a hospital, if you pay them enough, you'll get them. And I think that was evidenced by the number of travelers that were working, for $100 an hour or more. Yeah, if you pay people enough, you're going to get them to work. But if you're not paying enough, a lot of people will say, I'll make a little less if I can have a better work-life balance, working in an outpatient setting, working in a freestanding, procedure facility, or, doing colonoscopies all day or something like that, or going to work in an urgent care where you have some predictable hours and you're probably not there 24 hours a day. Anyway, that's it. And I think the same thing goes for housekeepers too. I think they realize that they probably can work somewhere else where they don't have to work nights. So it's a work-life balance for most everybody. Anyway, this article went on to talk about insufficient opportunity for clinical placements, which we talked about. There just aren't enough people available to precept students, and so that cuts back on the number of students that could be accepted into programs. The government supposedly is really trying to fix this by throwing a bunch of money at it. And, this $26.5 million that goes into the nurse faculty loan program, that's great if you have a student loan. I think a lot of people that work for large hospitals, like my hospital, take advantage of tuition reimbursement, so they don't necessarily have a loan. And so they don't really benefit from this money that's going into this nurse faculty loan program. And that was the case with me. I was fortunate. I didn't have to take out a loan. Most everything I did was scholarship or tuition reimbursement through employers or one thing or another. So I didn't have loans that I had to take out. So I was really fortunate that way. So getting back to something that was going on today at work, and I'm still getting text messages about this, but I had a lady that came in, and this is not atypical. This is something that I deal with quite often, but I'll get somebody that, they're older, they have maybe some difficulty walking, and it just gets to the point where they just can't take care of themselves. They probably live alone, and they just can't get around. And when they come into the emergency department, we're responsible for making sure that there's a safe discharge back home. And if I have somebody that I don't think can take care of themselves at home, can't walk from the bedroom to the bathroom, for example, or can't dress themselves, then they're probably not a safe discharge, and they're probably more likely to fall or injure themselves. So that means we try to keep people in the hospital in order to keep them safe. And typically what I do is I'll ask for a physical therapy consult on these people to help me document their ability or inability to walk. So in this particular case, I had a lady that could not get around. She did not fall. She's just had some progressive pain in both hips, getting to the point where she just can't tolerate the pain. So she needs to come into the hospital for pain management. And she's also an unsafe discharge home. Now, maybe with some physical therapy for a couple of days, she might turn the corner and be in a much better situation to go home. But you have to arrange for, let's say, physical therapy at home, home nursing care. These are all things that take sometimes a couple of days or more to arrange, and that's if there's even availability for that. In my area, we're having a hard time getting home care nurses to come in and see a patient. I think the wait time for home care nurses is like 3 or 4 weeks right now. So this particular lady, what do we do? The other issue with her is that she has straight Medicare. Straight Medicare means that she's not part of a managed Medicare program. She's not part of Medicare Advantage or something like that. She's just straight up Medicare. And Medicare has a rule that you have to be hospitalized for 3 consecutive days in order to qualify for either a short-term rehab facility or a skilled nursing facility. So you have to be there 3 midnights. The problem is if you don't have a diagnosis that qualifies for hospitalization in the first place, then you can't get those 3 nights. I mean, for example, you hope in some ways with people like this that you'll find a urinary tract infection. And then you'll go ahead and give them IV antibiotics, which will then create a diagnosis that will qualify them for hospitalization. But oftentimes, the lab work is all normal. Everything's normal. You just have a person who is becoming more debilitated, less able to take care of themselves, and lives alone, and in most cases doesn't have family nearby. And so the end result is you're left with one option, and that option is to hospitalize them under a condition called a social admission. And a social admission means that there's a chance that your patient may wind up having to pay for their own hospital stay, which could run $7,000 a day or a lot more, depending. So this is a situation that I get into with patients at least once a week, and sometimes a lot more than once a week, where I can't find a diagnosis that qualifies them for hospitalization. Maybe I'll find some reason to keep them under observation status. And observation status is another weird status where you're not admitted to the hospital, even though you're physically in the hospital, but you're considered outpatient observation. That doesn't count towards the 3 days that's required by Medicare in order to then go on to either a short-term rehab facility or skilled nursing facility or whatever it is that you need. So there's a lot of issues that come to play here. And most people don't know about this until you find yourself in an emergency department alone trying to take care of yourself, and you can't, and you're finding out that Medicare is not going to be there for you in the way that you thought it would be. So this lady, ultimately, I don't know. I mean, I signed her over to the medicine team. The medicine team was going to take her from there. I don't know whether she'll wind up getting billed or if they'll find some way to avoid it. But it's something to think about, particularly as you're getting older. And if you think that Medicare is what you're going to rely on, you have to realize that Medicare doesn't cover everything, and in some cases doesn't cover anything. There's a lot of rules. And I looked up this 3-day rule business, and that apparently has been present for over 50 years with Medicare. It was waived during the COVID emergency But that's passed, and so that rule is back in effect again. So I'll tell you, it's been a long day, and probably a long day for a lot of you also. So I'm going to cut this off a little bit early, and maybe I'll put this up on the channel so it can be watched sometime later on. In any case, hope you guys have a good evening, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.